Hello, here's my video vlog for the 25th of October 2023. I'm wearing my jacket. I didn't do my video the last couple of days because I was, I don't know, feeling pressured with my coloring project, and because I was kind of not going as fast as before, because I'm doing other things. Yesterday I went over to my mom's house, and for so that was kind of gobbled up my day yesterday. I wasn't able to make the progress to help her go through her garage and organize in the Tupperware, throw stuff away to the Goodwill or one of those, and so she gave me this. Luckily my brothers didn't grab it. Here, I'll take this off. This is my dad's. It's like big old coat. And then there's this thing that I got. And then there's another coat that's even fancier than this coat. And then another jacket down here somewhere. I don't want to get it out, but it's like a coat that's like leopard fur or something. Like a full-on animal fur coat. So I'm like elegant and refined now. And the other leather jacket like this has a hood and like a pocket on the inside. It's pretty badass. Anyway, I'm starting to be warm too. Oh man, because another reason that I didn't do the videos is because my roommates are all the time, and I don't like doing it in my bedroom, and it's cold. Well, it actually wasn't for the last couple days, but a lot of times it's cold. It's cold now. And it's like, I don't know of any jackets to put on. I probably have it, I don't look, but now I have this big thick thing, and I'm totally cozy. It's great. I want to utilize it now. So anyways, I guess I got to get caught up on the last couple days. Here's where I am now in terms of progress. Whoops, the computer's super duper slow, as you can see. I brought it out one little stroke and it had to go way out into outer space. Okay, so yeah, I'm basically working on this section here, going down here, and then I have to do these. Yeah, I'm just going to the bottom. This is where the middle part starts, so I'm doing the bottom. Then I have to do all this. I'll get the one that has that block, and I'll do all this, and then I'll do the final part, which is this part here. So, God, then grab the thing. I ordered some rubber for this. This thing slides all around, so I ordered foam or whatever, just glue on the bottom of that so it doesn't slip around. So, and then another thing that was gobbling up my time. Yeah, I'm researching MMA, and I was, set up a little bookmark on my computer, and favoriting a lot of information stuff, and downloading images, belt images, and downloading YouTube fights, straight in UFC and MMA, and just trying to get ideas. Because what I'm going to try to do, okay. Now this is apart from my idea, the whole fight suit idea, which you make the fight suit like the Star Wars Stormtrooper suit for fighting, and then it's designed to use for fight to show who won, but with the help of an app taking photos of it with the bruises on it, but that you can replace. Low tech to last forever. But there's another thing that I decided that I wanted to do called fight levels, because people are starting to get interested in that. Think like that. I've noticed people are smarter. When they first started doing IQ tests back in 1910, average IQ was modern day 70 IQ. And so they had to constantly adjust it. I'd love to read. I want to read a book about that. Oh yeah, man, I totally. I'm gonna go and search on Amazon. I mean, Audible right now. I'm thinking. I'd love to know all about that. Oh, and I do want to take an IQ test, like the kind where you pay somebody and it's official. Because, I was gonna talk about this. I'll talk about it later, but I think my website with the whole levels and everything and comparing different things that aren't necessarily comparative, I think it has a lot to do with IQ. And so I want to know what the IQ test is all about, so I can plug it into this, and also know what mine is, because it has to be big, and if it's not big, then the test needs to be adjusted. But so where was I going with that? Fuck, lost my train of thought. I've been up all night. What time is it? It's 11:13 in the morning, and I've been up all night. I think I woke up maybe like yesterday afternoon. Yeah, so it'll be 24 hours up if I get to like 3 o'clock or so. I'm not yawning because I'm tired. I'm just yawning. But because I smoke a lot of weed. But yeah, I just smoking a bunch of weed before I got up and started doing this, and I'm not even getting high. I'm like smoking all my money. I don't have that much weed left. Like, I'll be done today, and I only got like $200 worth, like just a couple days ago. I'm like, oh fuck. But it's great. Like, doesn't give me asthma. I'm not getting asthma. And yeah, it's a great high. That other stuff is like hurting my. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back there. I'm only gonna get the super good stuff from now on. But, anyways, where the fuck was I? I'll get back on track. So oh right, the IQ. People are smarter, and they're going to continue to get smarter. And in fact, I think the increase of IQ per decade is at an all-time high now due to people basically, being high all the time on weed, which I think if you pair that with technology, it actually helps because it makes you think more. But Americans, but mainly because, well, I guess especially since COVID, but and it's happened a lot, especially recently, with, I guess, colleges starting to close down. One of the branches, the one here, closed across the street, and not as much like personal trainers in the gym, not people going to the gym, people kind of doing things on their own, being more independent, and because they're getting smarter because they can watch tutorials on YouTube and stuff. So due to learning stuff online and learning it on your own and being a more do-it-yourselfer, people getting more independent and having an opportunity, and then to be more creative, which makes it smarter, increase the IQ every decade. And once people, and we haven't even gotten to the good part yet, which is when people start actually having social media, not the shallow, like pictures and dancing, pictures on Instagram and dancing on TikTok, but kind of what I do on YouTube where you talk about actual stuff. That's when it'll just go, because then it'll start to become like a sport, like competitive, like actual pressure testing of knowledge. So yeah, it'll just increase the. So it's only a matter of time until people, because every time I mention this to my mother, she just starts screaming at me like, nobody cares, and I'm like, do you realize how like little sense that makes? Because you're talking like nobody will ever care. Like, who are you to say that? You're 80, almost 82. You're from a different world. Like, stay in your lane, She doesn't even know how to like work a computer and stuff, so she gets all like worked up, and because you have to care first, but you can't get a use for anything, any learning tool, like, if you don't care. First you have to understand the concept, like, of why you would want to even know that. And so, and what was she saying that about most often? I think pretty much everything on my website. But anyways, one cool thing that people are doing is like with Powerball, they do, or is that what it's called, Powerball? They do fight levels, power levels, and these are like superheroes, basically, from the Japanese comic book. And they have it, I guess, based with all the different parameters, and different people have different skill sets. But then they, like, I guess they fight throughout the universe in like tournament style and in stadiums and stuff to try to get like some the golden balls. And anyway, and then they had Cobra Kai. Somebody had power levels for that, and they were the same person who did Dragon Ball power levels, and I think they were pairing it. So people are integrating. Now that's a way of thinking that people 10 years ago, or people like 20 years, somebody born like before 1960 would not even understand why you would even do that. Like, not even the concept. Kind of like even just 10 years ago and stuff, or 20 years ago, up until 93, you would have the different separate martial arts that didn't communicate with each other because they didn't, there was like some kind of like religious idea that I don't understand where it came from. I mean, I want to look into it, but so it's the same thing with everything else. You could be like, they're like, people don't even take you seriously. They think you're joking. Somebody be like, you're visiting them at their house in their town, and they go, I'm hungry, where can I get a restaurant? I go to a restaurant, and they go, oh, it's down the street. And I go, okay, well, like how many blocks, They're like, wait, what do you mean? It's like a little bit down the street. That's what Chileans are like. They don't understand the concept of giving you the number of blocks. It's like little far, sort of far, a lot of far, mucho far, sort of a deal. And so anyways, I kind of got off on a tangent, overly elaborate on that, but well, actually I didn't, because you really have to understand the concept of why you do that. But I was, so I was trying to, I wanted to make, power levels for people, because like that's the whole point of my website. I call it quantifying the non-quantifiable. You just get averages. Like, if people can, because we have to think like insurance companies, just taking the averages, or get a computer to do it, or design AI to do it. Like, we should design our brains to do it, because it increases awareness and knowledge and the ability to understand the world around you, which we're having a crisis with right now with all the MAGA people and the wars in the world. So, I have like bike racer levels where you would find somebody's level based on like time trial times, even though different time trial courses are different. You just have to take the averages, You just have to, because what you're doing is you're coming up with a formula, and then you use that formula to plug it in. And so if I do it with fighting, that's like 10 times more dynamic than biking. Because with biking, the only thing that matters is body weight, watts, and then how good you are at different distances. Just 3 things. So it's the most simple thing. And strength to weight ratio, which is different depending on how big you are. Like a train has a really low strength to weight ratio, but it can go way faster than a 100-pound person who has a much higher strength to weight ratio. And so it does kind of scale a little bit among people, because sizes of people can double. But so and you know, there's lots of things on my website that I quantify the non-quantifiable, like trying to create patterns and formulas for things, like trying to like if you can reverse engineer a spaceship or a plane or a boat, you could do the same thing with human behavior based from history. And so then you could look at history and then diagnose what you need to fix to make a better future, but you can do it in a way that is clear to everybody by providing links to what was actually said when and where, and then categorizing it all. That's what my website's all about. So so you can have like just categorize everything and have a specific answer to everything. It has a lot to do with spiral dynamics, like all the different levels of society as you progress up through civilization, where people get rid of barbaric tendencies, and then they kind of go more to the back burner, like egoism. Like kind of MMA is kind of like the sportification of unnecessary thing in the past. And so on my website, I have all that stuff, but so one of the more interesting things that you can do that with is fighting, and you can do it with strength too. Yeah, but with fighting, because there's so many different factors, and I'm the first person. I'm always the first person. I only do something because nobody else does it. I'm not one of these people who tries to jump on the bandwagon. I'm the first person, and if you know of anybody, let me know. But I'm the first person who is trying to integrate all this stuff, who integrated and was trying to integrate. Okay, it'll come back to me, but right, the first person who understands the concept of attaching a power level. Because I was listening to the Wikipedia for Dragon Ball, and the guy who invented Dragon Ball wanted to make power level, right? But then they came across a dilemma. Well, what happens if one guy has a higher power level than the other in the comic book? Then that makes the comic book boring, because then you already know who's going to win. And you know what their solution was to that? Amps, bro. Like Johnny Lawrence on his white Johnny Walker whiskey or whatever. They get rage amps and different amps, and so then they have these secret powers. And so I think there's a better way to deal with that, and that is, you just have it. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Different styles are better with different styles in different situations. But if you're taking out the different situations and just having like a octagon, different styles are better with different styles, and people have different knowledges of different style. So even though there's people at the same level, you can have people who are at the same fighter level go at it, and it doesn't mean, you could have somebody with a higher fighter level go against somebody with a lower fighter level, and it doesn't mean that you know the outcome. The person with the lower fighter level can beat the person with the higher fighter level. Everybody knows that. So to have these rage amps and stuff, it just complicates things. It's much better to just say that there's under the skill, there's lots of different variables, like your personality, how much you want it, how good you feel that day, who you're good with. But with my with my levels, I am going to try to, yes, you're going to have a level, but then you're going to have a category within your level, and that category will be better for certain other levels, right? So if you have two people of the same level, but their categories are such that one is better than the other, then yeah, that person's going to be better at this person Whereas this person will be better at another person against another person than this person will be. So a little bit of rock, paper, scissors. But I wanted to illustrate all of that in like the clearest way, because that's the ultimate challenge. It's to explain somebody's level. And I did this with cycling. How did I do it with cycling? I did it with weight, watts, you know, and of course, as you get, and I illustrate it with my cycling one, as you get bigger, you're better on the flats. Even if you're at the same overall level, like on a flat, like you're going to be better on the flats than somebody who's small, but then that small person will be better on the hills than you are on the flats. So it's, and that's where the strength to weight ratio comes in, and in size. But yeah, so it's kind of like that with fighting, like way more dynamic. So, so that's the concept. To reiterate, yes, you can have a fighter level. You can attach fighter levels to people, and you know, it doesn't have to be a dilemma where, well, you know, you have to follow it religiously. But you can also, here's another thing that I think is original that I'm doing. You can have fighter levels that are that you attach the points to your level from all the different things, all the different facets. Because you know, like when you're a kid, you know, when you think, or in the past, when you think more simply, you know, somebody could be like a really good athlete at something that's not fighting. And because they're such a good athlete at that other sport, people think that they're good at fighting too. And that's true to a degree. And so that's why I'm plugging it in to my levels. And so I have, and I'll show how much work I did, because what I've been doing is kind of, you know, working there, you know, copy paste, listen to music, copy paste. I haven't been listening to books. I haven't been listening to any Audible or anything. All I've been doing is listening to music, and even a lot of silence, but listening to music, and more silence than I've ever done. And no news, really, barely any news. And yeah, and then when I get back around to it, like the martial arts stuff, and just downloading, because I want to organize it all. And what I want to do, this is a cool thing that I don't think anybody's ever done. My MMA page is going to be so big. So they have all the, you know, I want to record all the different percentages of the different, like, you know, moves that will result in a win. But I also want to make, on my YouTube channel, make videos of that exact moment, right? Because people will fight for like so-and-so time, you know, minutes, 25 minutes, you know, in the 4th, 5th round. But the thing is like, as they're fighting, one of the guys is better than the other, you know? So he's expending less energy, you know? Like, he's either expending less energy because he's better, or he's damaging the other person, which is making them weaker, and you're staying the same or getting stronger, right? And so as the fight's going, they're even and everything. But then it comes a point where one guy beats the other guy, right? And that moment right before the one guy beats the other guy, they're both dancing around, you know, and they look the same, you know, with maybe little micro differences, but they look the same, right? And then all of a sudden one goes down. So why didn't that first guy beat the other guy at the beginning? Well, because he had to whittle him down, because he was better. And so instead of watch the whole fight, why not just watch that final 3 seconds of every fight? And so, because it's only 3 seconds, why not just put it of like every fucking fight, like 1,000 fights up there, and you organize it all, and you go, this is what caused the fight. And then you can look at the fight as just a one shot. You know, you can be like, okay, so so-and-so, famous person, beat so-and-so. You know, and then you can imagine a street fight, because a lot of street fights don't last very long, right? It's like Tank Abbott in the pool hall knocking the shit out of somebody and running away. So that you could look at those UFC fights that really lasted 20 minutes as one of those Tank Abbott fights. You'd look at it and go, okay, well, yeah, really, what happened when so-and-so fought so-and-so? Well, watch it. and you only watch the final, and you go, oh, okay. Like John Jones against Daniel Cormier, what happened? John Jones kicked Daniel Cormier in the head so hard that his block wasn't good enough, or so fast. I think, yeah, it's so fast and hard that his block, so he knocked his ass out from the kick to the head, even though they were looking totally the same before. And then he was like that, and then John Jones kicked him in the leg, which spun him around, and then he hit him in a bunch of head, knocked him down, and kept hitting him. That's how he did it. So how did John Jones beat Daniel Cormier? Kicked him in the head. So you could have called it a one-shot. John Jones, Daniel Cormier out front of the bar. They're dancing around. John Jones kicks him in the head, kicks him in the leg, beats him up. And so then you look at it as, oh, head kick. I need to practice my head kicks. And then you can step it up and you go, oh, well, if I'm 7 inches taller than the other guy I'm fighting, I need to practice my head kicks. Because John Jones is 6'4" and Daniel Cormier is 5'9". So it's not like Daniel Cormier was going to kick John Jones in the head. So, it's like a puzzle they're piecing together. And so the cool thing about making videos of that is you can bunch them all together. You can go, these are the fights that show that when the taller guy punched out this shorter guy, like when 7-foot Stefan Struve knocked out 6'4" Stipe Miocic because his range was better. He just beat the shit out of his head because he was, 8 inches taller. And, and then you have different people with different styles, like Rampage Jackson, who slams people and throws big overhooks, and Daniel Cormier, who likes to pick people up and slam them. Anyway, because he has like that short, stocky build, and you can't choke him out because he doesn't have a neck, and it's like that's what makes it so interesting, right? So the interesting puzzle is, how do you gather all those things and then plug it in and create a number in a way that makes sense, in a way that so that you could find somebody's fight level just by sitting down with them and asking them just a few simple questions. And then you just type it into the number and you know what it is. And so what they are is, and they do this with Cobra Kai, like they do fight levels of people and they have it divided up into different sections. And so I got stuck at one place, and I'll explain to you. I'm kind of running through it in my head as I do the video. But so obviously skill. Well, actually, you start it the same way that you do it with the fight card when you show the details of the people. On the top, they have their age, although with my system, I don't pay attention to the age because, like, they say age is not just a number, but, like, literally, age is just a number because my whole idea of my whole fight belts, I think I'm coughing because there's, like, mothballs and stuff in this, is that it goes off of numbers. And so people of different ages are at different levels of fitness. It doesn't mean anything. You can't plug it in because it doesn't mean anything. The most arbitrary and confusing would be male versus woman. Like how do you compare that? But that you can compare because there's an actual difference between men and women. There's not an actual difference between you when you were younger and older, like you could have been fat and out of shape when you were younger and then you got fit when you were older, so I leave age out of it. So it starts with height. No. It starts with weight, because you have weight classes. This is how I have them, have the criteria that have actual points. You add it to the points for your fight level. So the first one, and I don't do it in order of importance. I'm doing it in like trying to look like a fight card. So the first one is height. Then the first one is weight. The next one is height, because that's how it shows on the fight card, weight, height. And then the next one's reach, because that matters. And then the next one after that is skill, right? So now you're talking about what belt are they? you know, or like what style. Same thing as like the fight card, you know, and then they put their style or whatever. So that's 4. And then the 5th one is strength, right? Because the person has to have strength. You know, like Tank Abbott could bench press, 600 pounds 5 times. Like in those early UFC fights, they're always like, here comes Tank Abbott with the 600-pound hammer. Because back in those days, it was like, you bench press a lot, you're a good fighter. Because you can knock somebody out with your punch. So, or throw them down. So, so strength. And so how do you get the strength? The strength is simple. You keep it simple. It's the 3 numbers. It's the 3 exercises: deadlift, squat, your 1-rep maps. Deadlift, squat, bench press. Only you add double importance to bench press because that's the punching and you use those muscles more overall. So if somebody has 1,000 lift number overall, but their bench press was 225, then instead of being 1,000, it has to be 1,225. And so that's their strength number. So 1,225. So say somebody is 6 feet tall. So their height, you have 6 feet tall, which gives you a certain points for that. And I think an inch equals like 30 seconds. Because also seconds can compare to points. And I haven't figured out seconds versus points yet, but like an inch is like 30 seconds. And I think I figured that out because John Jones knocked out Daniel Cormier halfway through the 3rd round. A little over halfway through the 3rd round, and the only difference between the two of them, because they weigh the same, is height. John Jones was 7 inches taller, and he did it with a height move. So it was because of his height that he won. And people are actually saying that now, that they're like, yeah, you know, those tall, lanky guys are the ones who are the best fighters. And so, how long did it take him to take him out? Well, it was, I do it in segments of 30 seconds, because 30 seconds would be like a point. It would have been 7, because it's for 6 minutes, because you're doing third rounds, right? So 3rd round, so it was 15 minutes. It was like 13 minutes. So so however many seconds that is, and so that each round, because it was like 7 rounds, boiled it down to about 30 seconds per inch. So you plug that in. Reach is 30 seconds per inch. And the reason it's the same, it's 15 seconds per inch for height and 15 seconds per inch for reach. So combined reach and height is 30 seconds per inch. So, and the reason that it's the same for height and reach is because even though because reach and height are both important, like equally important. People say that people are saying on forums that height doesn't really matter, reach does more, but they don't really. But people talk more about height than reach, so I think they matter the same. So if somebody has like 70-inch height and a 70-inch reach, then yeah, you add that together, and that's whatever point it is. So first it's weight. And I'll talk about weight later, because that's the most interesting thing. And then it's height, reach, and then you get into skill. And then I'll talk about skill different too, because that's complicated. But then, and under number 5, under strength, it's the 3 lifts, 1-rep max. And then, but why did Tank Abbott always lose? Because he didn't have cardio. So these rounds are 5 minutes each. 3 rounds, 15 minutes. Championship, 25 minutes. So you have to be able to go full force 5 minutes, and then you can rest a little bit. But the whole thing's more than 5 minutes. So what is your fitness for something that's maybe 5 minutes or a little more than 5 minutes? The mile run. So under fitness, under endurance, right? Because when you have Cobra Kai, they have the different categories. So under your endurance category, you pay attention to what your mile run is, and it's based off 5 minutes. So if your 5 minute mile run, you get 0 points for it. If you're 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you get subtracted 30 points from your overall score. If you run a 4 minute 30 mile, you get 30 points added to your overall score, okay? So there's your endurance. We have strength, endurance, and then we have, and the strength is done from the 3 and then double with bench press. And then, but then what else do you need? And this is something that they use on Cobra Kai too. It's the same. I love when I'm pairing it with everybody else and it's all integrated. And I'm going to integrate it with, you know, the whatever, Go Dragon Ball points. So, well, how did Vitor Belfort win? How did somebody like BJ Penn win, or you know, younger guys, speed? You know, how do the wrestlers take somebody on? Speed. You have to have speed. Okay. Now that's different from strength, because strength is grab you, throw you down, punch you, knock you out. Endurance is, can I last the 5 rounds? You know, if they're like more or less similar, or even if they're not, you know, you have to dance around them. Or if you're big and you're chasing around somebody, you know. So, so how do you measure speed? 100-yard dash. So it's based off 15 seconds. After anything over 15 seconds, I just guessed up that you get it taken away. Under 15 seconds, points added. So 100-yard dash is going to measure your punch speed and your kick speed. And also, you know, when you're tired, you know, your speed goes down. Well, the 100-yard dash can measure how fast you are even when you're tired, because you get tired as you go through the 100-yard dash. So it's perfect. So, so we have strength, endurance, and speed covered. And then there's another one, is limbarity. So, and that's judged if you can touch your hands, your palms to the ground with your legs straight. And each inch that your palm is up from the ground is a point taken away. And so that kind of gives advantage to different styles of fighters, you know. And because I read that in a forum that helps. So so those are the parameters. Now, as far as cracking it, now the thing that I haven't decided yet is, like, how do they relate to each other, though? You know, how many points do I give to what? And I haven't even begun to think about that yet. Like, I would have to lay in bed, you know, and like shut off all other thoughts and only think about that. Then I think it would be way easier if I were to just generally study martial arts in general. So I'm watching like martial arts tutorials and videos, like right now, this jujitsu guy, because he was talking about like what it is to be each belt. And so I was taking notes and I was writing it down. And so I'm going to watch all the tutorials of all the martial arts, and I'm going to write down, because this is from my website, all the different strengths and weaknesses of all the different martial arts. And then you attach a certain fight level to each martial art. And then yeah, so I just totally lost my train of thought. So now as far as skill and dividing up like how skill works, there was another parameter too, and that was fight routine. It kind of ties it all together. So, you know, I'm going to invent fight routine. I have my little Bob dummy, which I'm going to clamp to my floor, and it's all filled with sand, so he doesn't move around at all. And I have a UFC fight meter in the back. And I also have, I'm going to put, because I already bought them and they're in my closet, 2 punch meters on either side on the bottom. So fighting is basically like dancing. That's like the really interesting thing about it. So you would come up with, you know, a dance routine. You come up with a fight routine. Only a dance routine is designed to entertain. A fight routine you're coming up is designed to win the fight. So the fight routine would consist of like doing a certain fake and then doing a punch, a couple of punches, and then once you're close, you do an uppercut, like the same exact stuff you would do in a real fight. And then you go back really far, and then you kick, and then you come in and do an overhand, and then go back, and then you do like a spin kick, and then you do a left low kick, right low, left low kick, upper head kick, right low kick, or something, you know. And and then you do 10 squat overheads with 45-pound dumbbells, because that's what I have. Maybe ideally it would be 50 because it's a round number, but yeah, 45-pound dumbbells, squat to overhead. And then you do a submission move on your jiu-jitsu dummy. But you have to do a running front flip onto the jiu-jitsu dummy first with a little rubber ball. So you do your kick, you do your 10 ups, right? Because this is like if you're doing it in like I'm going to do it in my living room, right? It's confined space. So I do my 10, whatever they're called, lifting of the weights, squat to overhead presses. And then I dash like 10 feet over, and then I turn around and jump back towards where the little jiu-jitsu dummy is, which is right next to where I'm kicking. That's where I do my front flip, land on my back, bounce back up, and then land on top of the bob dummy, which simulates the acrobatic moving around. And then to grab it, you know, when you're disoriented. And so then you grab it, you have to do a certain move, and then you do the routine at certain times. And the thing is, it's the same exact routine each time. You put a name to it, and you label all the different moves you're doing. And so then when you watch the video again, you judge the video based on, very scientifically, based on what the meter says, right? Because if you aimed right, the meter will get a better reading, right? Because if you punch the dude in the face when you just got up and you glance it, the meter's not going to say that much. If you get him right in the head, the meter will register it. So it's not even have to be subjective, like, oh, you had bad form. You don't have to worry about that. The meter says it all. The meter on the bottom of him and the meter on the top. And how long it took you to do the squat to overhead press says it all. It's just the time. And you have the same form for each one. It's not like you can cheat with the form because everybody can see you if you cheat. And nobody would cheat with that. It's too easy to not cheat. And it's too obvious if you do. And then the form of jumping on the ball. I mean, you're either doing a front flip or you're not. You know what I mean? And when you're holding the position, it's obvious whether you're holding the position or not. You know what I mean? So it's all cut and dry, straightforward. So you do a certain routine, and then you get judged based on how long it took you to do it and how hard your punches were. That's all. How hard your punches were, and what your time was for the overall thing, right? Because you had to do it fast for the dumbbells. So it ties in everything. So the kicking for the numbers simulates the stand-up karate. The lifting of the weights simulates the wrestling strength. And then the front flip and the grabbing onto the dummy simulates jiu-jitsu and the MMA. Boom. And it's cut and dry. And it's just based on your time on certain configurations, right? So then you would have like certain you had like 4 or 5, or I don't know, maybe 10 different certain configurations, like dances you would have in a fight. And your time that you're going to plug into your level is the average of those 10. The average of your best time of those 10 within the last 3 months. So, because you have to do all of those at least once within the last 3 months. And so that's your level for that. And then that plugs into your overall. Because that's very indicative, but it's not everything, because you're not having somebody pushing against you. So if you plug all that in, weight, strength, then you can come up with a number. boom. And so, as far as weight goes, so Gracie's say that a belt is 20 pounds. Well, they only have 6 belts. I have 12 belts because I found 12 colors on Amazon, and they have a rack that can hold 12 belts. I have white belt, pink belt, yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, light blue belt, dark blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, golden belt, black belt, red belt. And so that's 12, so that's double the 6 of Gracie. So each belt could be 10 pounds with my system. Or I actually have it with 20 pounds because I started with 50 pounds because when you're fight suit fighting, little kids can fight. So the lightest that you would fight anybody would be 50 pounds. That's like the smallest you'd get when you go and hurt somebody with a fight suit. So white belt, 50 to 70. Yellow belt, 70 to 90. Pink belt, 90 to 110. Green belt, white, what was it? White, pink, I got it mixed up, green, orange, and it goes up in increments of 20 all the way up to 290 pounds from the 12. So anyways, that's how you would figure that out. But that's kind of not even indicative of what I do. I'm just trying to pair it with what they do. Because what I do is just based on your numbers, not really what belt you are. Oh, actually, right. I'm sorry. With my system, the belt is paired to how well you do on the little that sucker, on your timing, your time, how fast you can do the thing on your time, and in conjunction with the power. And I haven't figured out how to pair those two, the power and the time. I'll have to think about that. But and so then you plug that into your overall fight level, which would include those other things that I mentioned. And so then you could come up with a fight level based on people that don't even fight. So you could look at a runner, look at their body, their running time, and you could assign a fight level. And so then what you can do is assign a fight level to everybody. You talk to them, you get the information out of them. What's your time and this, that, and the next thing. Then what's your dimensions, and I know your fight level. Oh, and as far as the other arbitrary thing was men versus women, because the 20-pound weight difference for belt doesn't really even matter, and that wasn't so hard to find. But last night I was doing screen captures and reading forums, and I could never find it before, but luckily last night I found it. And I came to the conclusion that it's 20 pounds. Being a man gives you a 20-pound advantage over a woman. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to make that across the board as you go up, or if it's just a 20-pound weight advantage between a 200-pound man and like a 200-pound woman and a 180-pound man being equal, and whatever their percentage difference is, then you just do it by percentage as you go up and down the scale, just to make it realistic, because that's not a whole lot of an advantage that a man would have over a woman if they weigh 300 pounds. The man's 300 and the woman's 300 and the man's 280, so that makes them equal. No, the man would win, right? So it would have to be more of a discrepancy. So you would do it based off of percentage, but anyway, I haven't even gotten to that yet. So what I need to figure out, and I haven't figured out yet, is how you balance it all, just off the top of my head, I figured 30 seconds per inch, and you can chime in if you want, if anybody's listening to this who knows anything about this stuff. 30 seconds per inch. A pound is a point. A second, like in a mile race, is a point. So a second in a mile race is a pound. An inch is 30 seconds in a fight, and I guess 30 seconds would be a pound. That's about as much as I figured out. But anyway, the exciting thing is if I can figure that the fuck out, dude. I've got the fight levels. You have fight levels, and then you have something to work with, and you have something to motivate you, and you do all that. And then you can actually start comparing people, and that's where those fights come in, because then you come up with like a rule, right? This person who's a little fighter with fitness and this big fighter with not fitness, but they have the same fight level, but they're totally different style fighters, all these different style fighters, right? Well, you can test it in the real world from the YouTube fights, right? And so in order to back up my point, like to create my my rules and regulations to create the levels, you actually use specific videos. I would link it to specific videos to back up my point, you know, like that Daniel Cormier, John Jones thing. I came in up to 30 seconds an inch because it took him 7 segments of 30 seconds to beat him, and he's 7 inches taller, right? And that's the only difference that they had, because they were the same weight. So, you know, it was just that John Jones was taller with more reach. So, yeah, so that way you can train yourself to identify people and know what their levels are. And then that way you can pit people against each other and assign levels of people. And people can get, like when you, in the future, when you have like a fight suit, system, a world, you know, a league, it's easy to pit people together. Like then you would have a certain belt with a certain level. Or maybe I think my belts are going to actually incorporate my strength too. I haven't completely figured all that out. But then when you go to the tournaments, because I want Rome to be a place where you go, and there's always like hundreds of fights going on, so you can always go and fight all day long. And different levels can fight different levels. You don't have to fight your same level unless you're in the league, the professional league, where the fighters fight in the professional league. They do it in weight classes then, but when you do it, you know, as recreation in Rome, it's like whatever level against whatever level, and because that helps. And then as you do it, as it becomes a cultural thing, and you do it more and more, you can fine tune all these little parameters until you get it right, perfect. And then life gets really interesting, and people can have something to, you know, scientific and something interesting to learn with. That's so, you know, complex. So, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. You know, I'm gonna sit. Well, not now, because as soon as I go to sleep, I'm gonna lay down. When I wake up, I'm just gonna lay there because I have to concentrate all of it, and just figure out like, just where am I gonna begin? For starters, to figure out how many points go to what, and then watch videos to back that up. I think there were some other videos that I was thinking, because you also want to watch videos where different fighting styles go against each other and one wins, right? Because then you can go, so if somebody's excessively slow, even if they're way bigger, they're going to lose a fight. Like there was a fight with this little like 120-pound girl. They have these weird fights in Russia. I've been like downloading these. They have like multiple people against one person, and like, yeah. But this little girl, I think she was an MMA fighter, fought some like 500-pound, like out of shape, like sumo wrestler. But she won. He was trying to grab her, but he was too slow. And she was just dancing around him and hit him in the head, and he like lost balance, fell down, and then she just started hitting him in the head and won the fight. And so there's an example where, you know, where stuff can get skewed. And so that's when I want to throw in with the whole point system, you know. And so you'd use that fight to plug into my whole point system and have it make sense. And so every single fight that I watch, I have to plug it in and have it make sense. And so it could be really like interesting thing to do, but it'll take forever. So so anyways, this is, actually I have to pee. I was going to show this. Well, I explained enough. I don't have to show. This is just what I go on notes, and I'm just like, you know, whenever I see something, I hear somebody say something interesting, because I was listening to the dude talk about the belts, and I was plugging into everything he said about the belts. You know, like once you get to purple, your pressure and you fast, and anyway, stuff like that. Anyways, that's enough talking. 54 minutes off, almost an hour, but you know, I took off 2 days, so if you divide it by 3, it's like 20 minutes of video. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go and smoke some more weed. I'm smoking so much weed and I don't even get high. It's crazy. And yeah, and lay down and try to figure this out. And once I figure it out and watch these movies, videos. Oh man, it's gonna be really interesting. Okay, talk to you tomorrow.